So before we wind up the AWS discussion, one more thing that we need to discuss is what is known as an access control list or a network or NACL. So what exactly this NACL is all about? So this NACL, even the name suggests that the access control list means it will control access to whichever network. So you can see it is like a firewall which controls traffic from and to the subnet. Again, look at the wordings. It controls it like it's like a firewall, and it is kind of kind of controlling the traffic from and to the subnet. So we have already seen creating our own subnet and all the stuff. So who gets access to the instances or to the subnet, and who can go out from the subnet? All these things are defined by the firewall or the NACL. So everything that is inbound and outbound is controlled by NACL, and by default, NACL allows everything to be inbound and outbound. Some of the rules that we need to understand when we create NACL. So the rules have number systems, and it can start with 1 and it can go up to 32766. And the rule specifies that whichever the lower number, the rule with the lower number which have a higher precedence. For example, you can see here there is a number 100 that says the rule is allow whichever IP. And then you have another rule with a number of 200 which says deny that particular IP. Then that particular IP will be allowed because the 100 has a higher precedence because it is a lower number. Just keep that in mind. And some simple rules. And the last rule is the asterisk or the star. And it means that if none of the rules get applied, then this particular star will be applied, and the star will always denies the request. And in case no rules match, so that means if there are many other rules and if any of those rules doesn't match, the star asterisk rule get applied. And the recommendation from AWS is to create rules with an increment of 100. So you can start with 100, then 200, 300, 400, something like that. So this is what exactly the network access control list is all about. So then where does this access control list exist? We already know that the EC2 will be put into a subnet, and that subnet, that even the EC2 instance itself have a security group, a kind of a last level defense, a kind of a firewall for the EC2 instance. And then because EC2 will reside on a subnet, okay, behind a subnet, you can think pictorially in this term. And then the access control list sits outside, just outside the subnet. So any request coming in to the EC2 will need to pass through the network access control list. Then only it will ever reach the subnet. So first it will come from the outside, hits the network access control list, and if it only allows. But now till now we have been able to hit our EC2. Why? Because there has been a default NACL which allows everything inbound and outbound. So we are taking a lot of advantages of some existing resource or some existing capabilities provided as default by Amazon. So keep that in mind. So this is what NACL is all about. So the default will allow both inbound as well as outbound. So when a request comes in, the inbound will be first checked with the NACL. If it allows there, then it will go into the EC2. And even before reaching EC2, it will check with the security group that we have created. So if it is an HTTP request, even though the default NACL will allow it in, it will check with the security group. If the security group doesn't allow, then that particular request cannot go into the EC2. So you can see this NACL as a second line or a first line of defense, which is the NACL. and the security group as a second line of defense. So just keep this in mind. We will see this with a small example. What I'm going to do here is, let me go to the this is the VPC. So if you look here somewhere, here is the network ACL that we have been talking about. So if you look at the NACL, you can see that there are two NACLs already being created. And here is the NACL with six subnets. If you remember in our previous discussions, we had created two subnets. You can filter it out to see what is the NACL that has been created for our VPC. So now you can see there is two subnets. One was the private subnet and the public subnet, if you remember. And based on the discussion that we had, the default NACL will allow all inbound and all outbound. You can see here in the inbound rules. Remember, AWS has specified to give number system from 200 and going forward, and the asterisk means that if none of the rules match, then it will always be denied. So here the first rule has given the name of 100, so this is of the highest precedence as of now, where all the traffic and all the protocols to all the ports from anybody from outside is going to be allowed. This was the reason we were able to access our EC2 instance. And that is the same with the outbound rules too. All the traffic through all the protocols, through all the ports are going to be allowed from EC2 instance, that is from the subnet to the outside world. Star means if none of the rules match, then the star will get applied and this will get denied. So what we are going to do here, we are going to install a small the HTTPD, which we had discussed in one of the previous videos. So I have already logged into the EC2 instance that we had created. So let me just create. Oh, I think the it got aborted. So let me take it up once more. Load it up. Hopefully the EC2 instance is still 3500. So just wanted to make sure. Let me load it up and open it. So then let me give a sudo yum is the package manager. Y update to just to update the package. Nothing. Then sudo yum install httpd. So it has been installed. Let me give y, and then sudo system control enable httpd created system link, and the last thing about the start, I think so. Sudo sudo system control start http. So this will start our httpd server. So can we access it from the outside world as yet? No. Why? Because of course we haven't given. So if you go to the so you can see in the security group only the inbound rule. Okay, let it refresh. Okay, so you can see in the security group that only the inbound rule allows only the 22. So to access, what we need to do, we need to definitely edit the security group. So let us go to the security group, the CTSSG, and edit it out. So this one, of course, this is already been created. Okay, fine, but it was not shown. Anyway, that is not our discussion. So let us edit the inbound rule and allow HTTP to come in. HTTP from anywhere. Save the rules. Let us go back to the instance and then get the IP address, and then let us see whether we are able to see our HTTP the front page. Okay, fine. So our HTTP is working fine. So why? Because the default network access control list is allowing the traffic. So let us start a so inbound. So let us create a new rule. Remember what is the rule precedence? A rule with a lower with will get a higher precedence. And then I am specifying that I am going to use HTTPE coming from anywhere to be denied. Save the changes. So let get applied. So when we go into the inbound rule, you can see automatically the 80 rule is getting precedence because it is lower in number. So can we access the because we are denying to any connection to port 80? Is it possible now to get it? Let us check it out. No, we know we don't need to wait for it, right? Because it is never going to come. The access control list will never allow any traffic to our subnet. This is a brief of network access control list for you. But as a NACL was automatically created. So you can see here there is a problem loading page. It is taking too time to respond because NACL never allows the traffic 80 to go inside. This is a network access control list for you. So just a recap of what we did. So before the traffic reaches our subnet, there is a network access control list that is the first line of defense. And the rules are specified, and the lower the number, the higher the precedence. So if no rules are going to match, then the star will always deny. And that we just saw. So that's all with the our Amazon AWS discussion. We will see you in the next video. So bye for now.